everyone, this week I wanted to do an open face sandwich that I found on Pinterest. I'm using my Tuscan Red Coal Erase pencil to do the outline and just kind of get the basic shapes down. And then I go in with my Bic Crystal pen to do the line work and just to really deepen the sketch. I still like having those darker lines kind of show through. And for paints, I'm using the Mission Gold watercolors. I used Yellow Ochre number 2, Burnt Sienna number 2, Light Red, Permanent Yellow Light, Van Dyke Brown, Indigo, Hooker's Green, Vermilion, and then Dioxazine Violet. I may have butchered that. But then I'm using primarily my Velvet Touch Princeton Long Round number 6 brush. And I'm using a Ruby Satin Silver Round number 1, and then occasionally I use my Holbein Black 1000 number 2 brush to kind of blend things out. This week I'm using my Fluid Watercolor paper pad. It's in the cold pressed finish, and it's a 300 GSM paper. I just received this as a gift, so I'm just kind of trying it out, and I have to say I really ended up liking it. I was pretty happy with it. So now I'm going in with my Yellow Ochre, and I'm just kind of doing the top part of the sandwich, the bread rather, and just kind of blocking in my colors. I'm using the Van Dyke Brown for the mushrooms. And I spent a lot of time on the mushrooms. There was a lot of texture in them. They looked like they had been roasted, and I really wanted to get the colors right. There were so many different, colors and values, and just layering that up and getting those right was something that I really wanted to do to give the illustration a more realistic look. So I'm just kind of using, varying strengths of these colors at first. I'm still on the Yellow Ochre for the toast, and I just used a darker version of the Van Dyke Brown. You will see me add Light Red, Burnt Sienna, and I will mix some of the Dioxazine Violet in there at some point too. And it really, really deepened it and gave it a really beautiful color. So now you can see I'm going in and I'm just patting in these colors, and I'm just kind of going back and forth, picking ones that I really see in the photo, trying to pay attention to it. As you can see, it had dried between those layers, but now I'm just going in and I'm adding more of those colors. This I'm using the Yellow Ochre, which is a little bit more opaque, but I probably should have used their version number 1 since it's more translucent, but I do think that I like how this came out. So I'm just going back and forth, layering up those colors, building them up, trying to get them to a point where I really like them, and it's right about now where I feel like they're really starting to kind of come to life and show really more of that roasted quality. And now I'm working on the spread that was kind of underneath it. It was like this cheese spread that had like chives or something in it. So I just wanted to do the base coat of that. It was pretty light, so I didn't have to touch it. And now I'm going through and just kind of adding some of those shadows, some of the more toasted qualities of the bread, some texture, and just trying to, build up the image overall. I wanted to add some shadows, and to do that, I took my Permanent Yellow Light, which I used for the spread, and I just added the smallest hint of the Dioxazine Violet, and it really produced this nice kind of like a gray kind of brown tone, and it was perfect for the shadows in this. And I probably should have waited, but I started adding in some of these chives, but it all works out. Sometimes when we get spreads like this, you get like clumps, so I didn't really find it to be an issue. So I'm still going through, and now I'm just adding some more lines and depth and places where I felt like it could use it with my pen. I wanted to just kind of do some hatching and just really kind of emphasize the outline and some of the line work. That's just a style that I really like. You, of course, could, skip this step, but I liked it. I thought it looked nice. And now I'm adding indigo for shadows around the toast, and I'm going in and just adding some more little nooks and crannies into the bread, darkening the values. I really am in the final stages of this right now. Just kind of working on little things, making sure to get the shadows behind the spread and the mushrooms, stuff like that. Just really trying to make this seem a little bit more realistic. I wasn't trying to go for like a true realism, but I did want it to have a more realistic look to it. So making sure that I had those colors right meant a lot to me. Here you can see I'm just adding those quick shadows around there. And I did drop some water on that mushroom by mistake. Unfortunately, it had sat for a little bit before I noticed it, but I was able to take all of those colors and kind of build it up again. And luckily, since it does have more texture to it, I was actually able to cover it up pretty well, and I was pretty happy. Here you can actually see I took the dioxazine violet with some of my Van Dyke brown, and I was able to get that really kind of dark tone, which I thought turned out quite nicely. It was actually the color I had been searching for the entire time. And now I am just about done. I'm adding some just little highlights with my white gel pen. I'm blanking on the name right now, but I think it's just the Signo one. And I just wanted to get those little bits of highlights from, just the light hitting it, and just kind of some of those little nooks and crannies, and just the texture that you'd find in the mushrooms once it's done. And here is the final drawing. I hope you guys really liked it. This was a lot of fun for me. I did add some texture with a colored pencil once I was done, just to kind of emphasize those highlights, and I think it turned out really nice. So if you have any questions, leave them below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!